So I just wanted to start off by showing you this screen because, as you can see, there is a USS Enterprise NX-01 model ship here. But what I'm about to show you is not this one, and I'll show you for why. Because this one does not actually ever appear in the show. This was going to be brought into a later season of Enterprise. And as you can see in this image, it has the sort of the underslung deflector dish that the NCC-1701 Enterprise had in the original series, effectively. So that it's quite a big remodel of the ship, but it was never made. And this is describing itself as a special edition. But it is the only larger sized Enterprise NX-01 on the UK Hero Collector website. So what I'm now going to show you is something that seemingly Eaglemoss don't sell themselves in the UK. So if I now show you this, you'll see that this is a large size Enterprise NX-01, and it isn't that special edition that I just showed you. It is in fact an XL/special issue. And this I got from Zavvi.co.uk or .com, various places, and for some reason, clearly, they have it in stock. It has taken a little while to arrive, but I did get it on sale. So, you know, this was puzzling to me, because I've never come across this before, where a third-party site in the UK has something that the Eaglemoss site simply does not seem to acknowledge the existence of. Really curious. But nevertheless, it has now finally arrived. This is the last Enterprise that in the larger size that I was waiting for. So I'm going to pop open the box and have a look with you. And let's see if it was worth the wait. And Enterprise, I suppose, is the last of the sort of original, I'll say original era, the next generation-y sort of era of Star Trek shows. And here she is. So yes, we've just got a stand, which is good. Good start. Let's get this out and ready. So, a little bit tricky. I'm always worried about getting them out of the box in the first instance because I don't know what the various component pieces are made out of, so I don't know how much pressure I can apply to them, but wow, she's heavy, good lord. Classic Eaglemoss that though, the saucer section here is all metal. That's, I'm not even sure that is plastic. Actually, even this nacelle strut here is actually metal. That's quite unusual. So this nacelle arm here is actually, I think, is actually metal. There's no flex in that at all. So this is all of that is metal, apart from the nacelles themselves. So that's really nice. That's an incredibly solid ship. You know, even by Eaglemoss standards, there's a lot of metal. It's no wonder it's quite so heavy. So I'm going to look at the detailing. I mean, as is often the way with these things, you know, those who really know their stuff will call out problems with the detailing, I'm sure. But to my, you know, sort of naked eye, I mean, that's a lovely amount of detail. You can see all the deck plates, and I mean, I really liked Enterprise as a concept, because to take it back before the original series was an incredibly difficult thing to do, because when you think about it, they can't make it look too old school because they'll lose the modern audience, and yet it is older than the original Enterprise was. So it's got to look as if it's not as sophisticated as the original Enterprise, whilst at the same time keeping the modern audience from turning off. So the way in which they did it, I don't know if you're familiar with the series at all, obviously, but the way they did it was basically to suggest that the NX-01 here was, it could just about manage warp 5. That was its absolute maximum rated speed at the start of the series. It had torpedoes that weren't antimatter photon torpedoes, they were literally just kind of missiles, basically. It had phaser cannons rather than phaser strips that had to sort of deploy before they could be fired. So, and the transporters were quite small scale and a bit of a punt, basically, you know. So it was kind of, if you transported anything, you had to be, well, you were taking your life in your hands, basically. But the technology was there, but it was very, very young technology. They really weren't sort of ready to use it in a massive way at that point in time. So it's all a bit seat of the pants, and the Vulcans are very heavily involved with it all because they're not really sure that humanity ought to be going that far that fast, which makes for quite an interesting dynamic in this series itself, because there are a lot of times when they're rubbing each other up the wrong way, basically. I'm going to best guess this and guess that goes there. I'm hoping that's right. Otherwise there's going to be a big clank in a second. No, I think that's right. It's not as huge a model as I thought perhaps it might have been, which is actually no bad thing from the point of view of my trying to display it at all. It's got a nice A4 magazine with it. That's the underside there. And the funny thing is with this one, I'm going to get back off the stand for this actually. I'm not entirely sure which comes first, but if you fly it like that's basically an Akira, isn't it? which made me chuckle because of course I saw this after First Contact when the Akiras had first been introduced, and smiled quietly because it basically is an inverted Akira. So there isn't a secondary hull on this version. Obviously, it's all just saucer, and then sort of the nacelles are kind of almost bolted on. It's not, it's not the same as the 1701 version at all. And I suspect that, this magazine is looking at the First Contact sort of scenario, because this ship comes into existence a few years after First Contact, but not terribly long after First Contact. And and they had shuttle pods. They did have shuttles inside the saucer section, which could just drop down and be deployed. But again, they weren't warp-capable shuttles. They were just interatmospheric little landing pods, basically. But the one good thing about it was that it was very much in line with the Next Generation sort of timeline. So if you were familiar with that era of Star Trek, then this fitted in really, really nicely, and they did it very, very cleverly. Very, very cleverly. You'll be familiar with the idea, perhaps, that there was this sort of a lot of time travel involved in the early seasons, and that allowed them to do a certain amount of interesting stuff, because it meant they could go beyond what was then the established Star Trek timeline and show us some times where we hadn't really seen a lot from, and it also meant that we got more alien races involved as well. And because obviously this was a CGI based series coming quite late in the day, they were also able to show us a lot of ships from alien races that we just hadn't seen before, but also update them. So we had this interesting juxtaposition where you see a Romulan bird of prey which is sort of dark green in colour, as against the original series version that is white with sort of wing imagery on the underside of it. So they were quite brave in many respects, in that they weren't afraid to redesign some of the ships that would have been considered to be very sort of classical designs, and update them for the sort of the modern era. So they had to tread a line, I guess, with that, because they didn't want to upset fans of the original series, and yet they had to make it look like a modern series. So as I say, very, very brave thing to do. I think it's a bit of a shame it didn't carry on a little bit longer. I mean, for me, it was nice to see Scott Bakula back in the science fiction setting again, because obviously I knew him from Quantum Leap days, and I smiled as Dean Stockwell appeared in one episode as well, because of course that must have been a strange sense of deja vu for them both. But it was I really did enjoy it as a series. I don't think I've ever really sat down and watched it sort of solidly all the way through, but I did appreciate what it was trying to do. And there was good involvement from Klingons, Romulans. There's some really good storylines in the midst of it. So it's well worth having a look if you're not familiar with it. I don't really know how it's viewed by the fans. It obviously never went on for as long as a lot of the modern series did, and that's a bit of a shame, as I say. And obviously, as I've just shown you, there was this. They were clearly going to upgrade the ship quite significantly for what would have been the next season, but never happened. So it would have been interesting to see, I suppose, what they ended up doing. But basically, this takes you up to the birth of the Federation. So it's a very important piece of storytelling in terms of the history of Star Trek. So they were very brave to even attempt it and to try and sort of keep it in keeping with what had gone before it. But I think they pulled it off really, really well. But yeah, so this is the last of my Eaglemoss Enterprises that I was planning to get. I was very fortunate to find it would seem, because normally I do try and get stuff direct from the Eaglemoss site, but I even managed to get it discounted from Zavvi, so I really can't complain at all. So the only thing I think I'm now still hunting for is a Battlestar Galactica. That is what I would like to get. I want to get the modern reimagining Battlestar Galactica. I think I can get a Blood and Chrome version of it. That seems to be available for pre-order, but I just wanted the sort of the normal one, but it's never in stock. So I shall continue to keep an eye open for that. I've never actually done this before. If I flick back to my my alternative screen there, I can show you my so here's my Eagle transporter. She's not going to make 10,000 supporters. She's probably not going to make 5,000 supporters, which is the next milestone. But I would quite like to get her up to 1,999 for obvious reasons. So if you are a fan of the older school of science fiction TV shows and you would like to assist in doing that, you click this support button here, the yellow support button. It's free to do it. You just get an account, support it, and that's it. That's all you need to do. So I just need I need about 2 supporters a day at the moment to reach 1,999. I might run it again. It's a funny thing with these things. You never really ever finish these designs. It was these struts here that really started it all off for me, because I thought they look like eagle spine struts. I'm going to use those and just see what I can do, and then the rest of it kind of followed. But because I made it minifigure style, this cockpit area is different to a traditional eagle, sort of design from the series. But as it's gone along, given I've got this number of supporters for something that is not quite spot on to the series, I am kind of considering maybe rejigging the cockpit a little bit to make it more eagle proportions. It's actually a bit too symmetrical at the moment, but that was just an offshoot of how I was able to make it in the first place, in a sense. But I don't know. I'll have a think over the festive period and see what I might do with it. But yeah, so that's it for Eaglemoss for me for the time being. I think my shelves are pretty full of ships at the moment, and I'm going to add a few more slightly different ships to them as well, just to fill out the displays. But for now, that is it for my Eaglemoss collection. But it's been a lot of fun getting them all together, and it's nice that in this day and age you can still buy ships from the next gen sort of era. And yeah, I mean, I've been very impressed with the quality of them overall. This one in particular, in fact, is incredibly solid because it's got so much sort of metal to it, and you know, hopefully they'll stand the test of time. So thanks for watching this and my other videos. If you're unfamiliar, I'm also cracking on with my my Babylon 5 watch through, so I'm well over halfway through as a whole now, and what I'm doing is I'm sort of retelling in synopsis form each episode as I go, and then I comment on it as if I'm not familiar with the entire series, which I actually am, but I aim to not spoil you if you haven't seen the entire series. So basically you can listen to my reaction to each episode without being spoiled for the series as a whole. That's what I'm aiming for. So do check those out as well, and thanks for watching, and I will see you again. Cheers for now.